Right, so let's discuss about the zones now. Since our configuration is ready, everything is all good. So what we are going to do is that since using zones, the policies will become much more easier to configure now. So now I do have an inside zone, outside zone DMZ1 and DMZ2. So currently in the first policy, what I will do is that DMZ1 should be able to communicate with DMZ2 and also in both direction, bidirectional. In the policy 2, what I will do is that inside network should be able to communicate to the outside network only in one direction, from inside to outside. And again, on the later on policy number 3, we will say that DMZ1, DMZ2, both of them should be able to communicate to the outside. So I have a server over here, router, which I will be using for testing to communicate from inside and DMZ. So first policy, let's go ahead and create DMZ1 to DMZ2 bidirectional. So I will go to the policies now, add a policy. I will say DMZ1 to 2. Source, I will select DMZ1, destination DMZ, sorry, source both will be DMZ1 and 2, destination both DMZ1 and 2. Application will be any, service will be any, and action will be allow. Click on OK and deploy. So once we deploy this one, so bidirectionally these two traffic should be able to communicate. And after that, then we will start configuring inside to outside. All right, so almost there. Okay, device configuration done. So let's go to R2, and if I say that do ping 10.1.1.254, that is my Palo Alto, it should be able to ping, and do ping 20.1.1.1, which is the R3, why I'm able to ping. Similarly, from the R3, if I say do ping 10.1.1, bidirectionally, I'm able to ping. So bidirectionally. So first one is done. So second one, inside to outside, only in this direction. So I will go to the same policies, click on add. I will give a name, inside to outside. Source will be inside, destination will be outside, application will be any, service will be any, action will be any, and OK. Alright, so let's go ahead and commit. And I will add one more policy that should be DMZ1, DMZ2, and inside. All of them should be able to communicate bidirectional because inside and DMZ both are my internal networks and they should be able to communicate bidirectionally. So I will allow them to communicate bidirectionally. So what I can do is that I can just modify this policy finally. So currently we are in the second one. So let's go ahead and finish the second one. Almost there. So once the policy deployment is completed, so we will try to ping from R1 to our server, which is on 192.168.122.20. So configuration is complete. So let's go to the R1, and if I say that do ping 192.168.122.20, I am able to ping. So the intention of the lab is that using the zones, how easy it is to configure the policies and how are we allowing the particular zones to communicate, like particular networks to communicate with the other zones. All right, so next will be the third policy, that will be DMZ1 and 2 will be going outside, and I can modify the first one also because source and destinations are matching. I will add a destination of outside, click on OK and commit and commit. So now you saw that using the first policy, I have configured the third one, which is going to the out. So I don't need to create a new policy again and again until and unless my requirements are fulfilled using the zones. So now, for example, if I have a specific rule saying that DMZ1 and DMZ2. Okay, on this policy, if I have something specific saying that a particular subnet or a particular host, for example 20.1.1.1/32, is blocked from DMZ1 to DMZ2. So this particular subnet is blocked. In that case, I cannot reuse that one, because when you have a block means it will be a specific policy and it will be always at the top. Whenever it is a block, it will always on the top. Since I am not blocking anything, it's just a general idea to give you how we can utilize the zones in order to communicate with different routers over here. And I'm using the same policy and configuring the policy number 3. So reusing the same policy, just adding a zone will make things easier. So now you see that I have done it. So let's, as per the policy, DMZ1 and 2 should be able to communicate with the outside, which is the server. So let's go to the R2. And if I say that do ping 192.168.122.20, I'm able to ping. And R3, so if I do the do ping 192.168.122.20, I'm able to ping, but the direction was only from this side to this side, but not the other side. So to confirm that one, I will go to server, and if I say the do ping 10.1.1.1, traffic is blocked. Okay, now you might be saying there might be no routing, but I have given this router a default gateway of my Palo Alto itself. So whatever the traffic comes in, it comes to the Palo Alto. So there is a routing, but since the direction doesn't match, so that's the reason it is the traffic is not being allowed. Now coming to the final one, DMZ1, DMZ2, and inside network, both of them should be able to communicate bidirectional. So for that one, I will utilize the same policy. Go to the source, I will add the source as inside and the destination as inside. Okay, so source all three over here, destination all three for the bidirectional. Only for the outside, the direction is only one way. So I will click on save and commit and commit. So you can see that how the requirements have been changed now. Now, if you remember that now I have created a policy saying that DMZ1, DMZ2 inside, destination will be DMZ1, DMZ2 inside and outside. So we do have one policy which says that inside to outside, right? This policy also matches inside to outside because we are allowing the traffic in one direction. So what we can do is that we can delete that policy and we can have only one policy which fulfill our different types of requirements which we just listed over here. So the commit is successful. So what I will do is I will just to select this one, delete this one, yes, and commit. Let that commit. And since we already said that inside to outside and DMZ should be able to communicate, so let's go to P R1, and if I say that do ping 10.1.1.1, I should be able to ping, and ping 20.1.1.1, I should be able to ping. So inside to DMZ bidirectional there is a traffic, so we can confirm that one. Do ping 172.168.1.1, I'm able to ping. And from the R3 also, if I try to ping the R1, I'm able to ping. Now since we have removed the one of the policy, that means the policy which we created for inside to outside, so we have removed that one because I will be utilizing the same policy. From the inside I will try to ping outside once the commit is finished. So commit is complete, so let's go back to the R1 and we will do the ping to the server which was 20, and you see that we are able. And similarly with from the R2 also, if we try to ping outside, because the policy says that inside DMZ1 and DMZ2 should be able to communicate to outside, we are able to communicate to the outside. Alright, so requirements have been fulfilled, all of them which we have listed. So we started off creating with two different policies and ended up with having only one policy which meets our requirements. Alright, so and another thing is that the DMZ1 and DMZ2 are associated to the sub interfaces, and we have utilized that zones. So we don't have to worry that to what the zones he's been associated to, whether it might be a sub interface or the layer 2 might be to associated to a layer 3 individual interface. Irrespective of that one, we have just configured the policies in such a way that whether it might be sub interface or normal interface, we are just utilizing the zones, and we are creating a policy, and we created a policy which fulfill our requirement, saying that internal network should be able to communicate bidirectional, but internal networks both inside and DMZ should be able to communicate outside only in one direction. I hope this was informative for you, and thank you.